I let go of hustle culture and quit a job that was ruining my life, but to understand why, I need to give you guys the full picture. My parents came from nothing. They had no money, they had no support from their families, and somehow they made their way through college. They both have master's degrees, they both have nice jobs, they've paid off all their debts, and they live in a very nice house, the house that I was raised in. My parents never let me forget how hard they worked to get where they are, though. They wanted to instill in me and my siblings that a comfortable life doesn't come easy. So I was always hearing phrases like, money only spends once, and you have it so easy compared to us. I think instead of being grateful for what I grew up with, I had a twinge of guilt. I almost felt like, well, if I don't make the most out of this life that they've given me, then what they did was waste. So I never let off the brakes my entire childhood. I was involved in so many activities. Once I was old enough to get a job, that was a no-brainer. Once I got a car that I could drive for myself, I wasn't sharing a car with my sister anymore, I immediately got a job. That same week, I got a job and I started working. And by the time I graduated high school, I was team captain of 2 varsity teams, the president of the high school chorus. I was running another smaller a cappella choir, and I had so many friends and a boyfriend, and I was constantly making myself as busy as possible because in my head, I didn't have a choice. I would be wasting my life if I didn't take every single opportunity that presented itself for me. And this was, I think, the mindset that my parents were expecting of me, because I'll never forget this one time. I was going all week. I had school every day. I was doing activities before and after school every single day. I'm pretty sure I had a softball tournament that weekend. And so I was exhausted. So one afternoon, I was just laying in bed after a whole week like that, and my dad came in my room and was like, what are you doing? Like, he saw me resting and he was like, you need to do something. You need to take an online course. You need to learn something. You need to do something with yourself. Even though that was like my one moment I was resting, I was conditioned to believe that resting equaled laziness, which equaled failure. My second semester of college, I think, is when I had a meeting with my advisor who looked at my course schedule and like looked at my courses that I need to graduate. And she was like, if you take this one class in the summer, you can graduate a whole semester early. And from that moment on, graduating early was the only option for me. So I started taking 16 credit hours every single semester. I never dropped a class. I never failed a class. I took classes every single summer. In addition to all the classes, I was still working. I had a job on campus, and then during breaks when classes weren't in session, I would go home and work the job that I had in high school in my hometown. So I was always working, and I was still singing in choir. I was doing intramural sports. That's when I started going to the gym. So I was going to the gym 5 times a week. I hosted a podcast. I was on the exec board of the business fraternity at the school, all while maintaining an honor status with my GPA. I was the most decorated student at the college graduation. My lifetime of overbooking myself is the reason why I didn't think twice about accepting a job right out of college that had a minimum requirement of 47 hours a week. I have to, work my way up, climb the ladder, earn my stripes, and then it'll get better. Is at least what I was told. The thing about this company that I worked for, they gave you a lot of exposure to regional leadership and group-wide leadership. And we got to meet all these people that had made it through this ranking, or not ranking, but just we're able to promote out of the entry level stuff and make six figures and making $1 million. And we had a lot of exposure to those people and hearing their stories all the time about, wow, there were so many days I wish I wanted to quit, and I'm so glad I didn't, because now look where I'm at, and I love what I'm doing, and I'm so glad I stuck it out. So you should stick it out too, even though it sucks. It was a hard job. And working 47 hours a week turned into working 50 hours a week, which turned into leaving at 5:30, turned into leaving at 7, and then you're working on weekends, and then you're working on holidays. And at the same time, this environment was extremely competitive. All the entry-level people were all being compared to each other. There's like 100 people you're being compared to, and every single month you're graded on this matrix. Half the things on the matrix you couldn't even individually control, but I made it somehow. I got promoted 3 times within my first year and a half, and I went from the entry-level position to having 15 employees to manage, most of whom were older than me, and a whole citywide operation basically that I was in charge of. This was a lot. I'm trying not to make the excuse of I'm just a 24-year-old girl, but it was a lot for someone who's only had a couple years of experience outside of college, and this is my first time managing people, and now all of a sudden all these stakes are so high and they're all on my shoulders. And the same thing, even at this level, I'm getting graded on a matrix, and I'm working my butt off, and I'm not doing as well as my counterparts because of just where I'm at, the resources I'm given. And so it just constantly feeling like you are doing the best and the absolute most you can, and it's still not good enough. Constantly feeling that way is really destructive. Now, this most recent role is obviously the last role I had before I left the company, and it's the one that took the most toll on me. I was given the responsibility of probably 4 employees, and I had a boss who did not know what she was doing but wanted to micromanage me. And it was just a very toxic work environment. I mean, I was being micromanaged, but the expectations were constantly being changed. I would be so busy that I would work a 12-hour shift of physical labor, essentially, and I wouldn't have time to sit down for lunch. And when I brought this concern up to my boss's boss, to my upper management, her advice was just come into work 30 minutes early so that you can take a 30-minute lunch break throughout the day. I should have quit literally right then and there. Looking back at that, I'm like, girl, and I knew at the time this was messed up. I had no boundaries. Nobody respected my time off. I would constantly get phone calls and texts on my days off. I would try to implement changes because I was a manager trying to figure out the best way to do this operation. And the second I would leave work, nobody would help me implement it. So I was getting no support from the other managers. I also didn't have a work phone. So my phone was constantly going off. This is what my phone would look like on a day off. And people knew I had the day off. People just needed me for stuff because there was nobody there supporting them or doing my job when I wasn't there. But I can't work 7 days a week, so it was just a mess. They really just needed somebody else to do my job when I wasn't there. I would never know if I was doing a good job because sometimes I'd be told I was doing a good job, and then I would turn around and be scolded for screwing everything up and messing something up completely when I didn't even know that was the expectation, and I didn't even know that they needed help. So how was I supposed to go help them if I didn't know they needed help? And I just never knew what to expect. There's this one time, I'll tell this one more story about my boss. This was my direct boss. This is a day I worked 12 hours with no lunch break. I was doing physical labor for 12 hours outside in the sun with no lunch break. I had not eaten anything all day. I did not even have time to sit down. And I part of my job was on a desk, so I had to do some computer work. I didn't even have time to do that day. So I was very sickly. I did not feel good. I get my stuff, I go to my car, and I start to go home. My boss follows me to my car, makes me roll down my window and goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm going home. I do not feel well and I've been here all day. She's saying, "Oh, so you're going to let your team suffer? Like you're going to leave your team in this state?" And I'm like, "They'll be fine." I cannot stay at work all day and not eat. Like you're not even letting me eat. You're not letting me go to my car. I cannot stay here and be here 24 hours a day.
I hate my job so much. I genuinely am dreading going back to work. It feels like I'm in an abusive relationship. Like, my fight or flight is heightened, my nervous system is all out of whack. I'm angry, way too angry, and stressed and wound up, and it affects me 7 days a week.
So it got to the point where my mental health was just declining. I didn't want to do anything on my days off after work because I was so physically and emotionally exhausted. Even the people around me started noticing, like the people at my work, the people, because I did like a lot of the people I worked with, but they would be like, "Yeah, so they've got you stressed out over here, huh?" And I was like, what do you mean? And they would tell me, "Your personality has just changed." And this is a conversation I had multiple times. So I didn't really notice it at first, but then other people started pointing out to me that I was acting different. And that's when I was like, damn, I am acting different.
There have been days where I just sat in my car and cried. And I'd call my fiance and just be like, "Please don't make me go back in there." It's just, they just treat me so bad. I'm spread way too thin, and I'm too young to be this wound up about my job. Like, I'm scheduled to work 50 hours a week, and I usually put in an extra 5 to 10 hours. When I come home, my phone is blowing up. It's not like I can just turn it off. Like, I'm constantly seeing work stuff on my personal phone. Like, I can't even enjoy my phone. I've become so angry and so depressed. I had to go on antidepressants because of my job.
And the reason why I stayed as long as I did was because I thought that I was a failure for not being able to handle it. I had been applying for jobs for a while, but I would get a couple calls, I would do a couple phone screenings, and I just felt guilty. I just felt guilty for saying, "This is too much, I need something that's less work."
It's difficult for me because I'm not your typical Gen Z girl where, Gen Z hates to work, Gen Z doesn't want to work. I've never quit anything in my life. For a long time, I was like, I can't quit. I'll feel like I'm giving up. I feel like, I can't handle it. I'm giving up by quitting. But I'm realizing now, like, I'm at the point where I'm so done. This is my day off, and I've been in a bad mood all day because of work, because they were blowing up my phone. I was getting told, "Mara, why didn't you do this? Mara, why didn't you do that? Mara, I need an answer from you," on my day off. And I'm just so at the point where I'm so emotionally exhausted. Like, I'm so exhausted from constantly feeling like I'm doing something wrong and constantly just in an environment that does not serve me. This is not giving up. This is protecting myself. This is getting out of a toxic, abusive environment and taking care of myself. I'm finally at peace, knowing that you're not giving up, you're not quitting, you're saving yourself. This is not what life is about. This is not what being young in your 20s, you know, your child-free, debt-free life. This is not what this is not how I should be feeling. So I'm gonna quit my job.
Quitting was scary. I have never quit anything in my life. I've just naturally progressed out of things, and I've never had to look at a boss and give them my notice. I've never had to do that before, so I was terrified, especially because not my boss, but my boss's boss, I had a pretty good relationship with. And so I felt really bad having to tell her, one, that I'm quitting, but two, put her in a position to where there's nobody in that job that I filled, because I was really important. A lot of people depended on me. And now that I'm not there, that's just a huge gap in the operation. I had to just let all that go. I had to put myself first. The business will be fine. The company will be fine. They'll figure it out. But I need to just put myself first and get out of this. And so I did. I quit my job today. I can't even say it without smiling. I'm so happy. My last day is next Thursday. It's Monday right now, so I've got 2 weeks. And I told my boss, and then conveniently our regional HR manager was in town, so I just went ahead and did a meeting with her, and I just got it all out. I've been very vocal about my issues with my role, and it's just crazy that they're like, well, you should have said something sooner. I was like, I've been telling you this for the past 4 months, but you didn't want to listen. But I talked to my boss, and then I talked to the regional HR manager. I wanted to have the conversation first. I've never put in a 2-week notice before, so I didn't really know what to do. I watched YouTube videos. On how to put in your 2-week notice. They told me to have the conversation in person first and then send an email to follow up. So that's what I did at the end of the day. I sent the email in my car, and I just drove off, and I've not stopped smiling since. I'm gonna go back. Obviously I'm gonna work the rest of this week. I have a 3-day weekend this weekend because I'm going out of town for a bachelorette trip. But after that, I will work I'll work Monday through Thursday, and then I'll be done. And I will never have to go back to that godforsaken job. I just left my last shift. I don't know why I'm crying. I'm so relieved. I'm also sad. I'm sad, I think, just because the people there were awesome, and I'm gonna miss everybody, and just change is hard. I thought I would I think I filmed the days after I quit, and I was so happy and smiling, and I think this just goes to show how much an emotional roller coaster this has been. And just, I don't know, I've been here for 2 years, and this is all I've known outside of college. And I have a new job. It's Thursday today, and I'm starting my new job on Monday, so it's a pretty quick turnaround. It's not even I'm gonna miss this place or anything. I'm actually really happy that I'm never gonna come back here again. But I think it's also just I always just get emotional when I close a chapter. It's just a lot of emotions. I think just a lot of different things. I'm just so relieved, but I'm also
I think I'm just so drained. I mean, there's no life when you're working this hard and you can't get any sleep and you can't like do anything. And you just always feel like you're doing something wrong. I'm like so burnt out, and I've been so burnt out for so long. It's just like I'm finally gonna start feeling like a normal person again. I know this will pass. Like, I know as soon as I leave fully, as soon as I go to the gym and start enjoying my weekend, I'll feel good. I had such a bad like experience with my manager, like my direct manager. Like, she was so awful. And now she didn't even like acknowledge that today was my last day. She didn't even, I mean, I don't know, she might text me or call me later, but she was just like, I mean, everyone was so nice, and all my employees and all my coworkers, and like everyone has said like such nice things about me, and I've been like so humbled that I got to work with these people and make an impact on them. But it's just like my own boss, she's the only one who ever made me feel like I was doing a bad job. And then she didn't even like say thank you for anything, and she didn't even like she didn't even acknowledge that I'm quitting. And which, to be fair, I don't like her either, and I did not make many efforts to be her friend or anything like that. Like, I did not make it easy for her to like me, because I did not like her, and that's, I take, you know, I understand, but it's just like to not even acknowledge that your employee is like leaving, and somebody who worked really, really hard for you, you didn't even acknowledge them. My face is so swollen. I don't like take pictures or film myself when I cry, but I just felt like it was important for me to just get this out now that I'm leaving my job and I never have to come back. I just wanted to go ahead and get all my emotions and what I'm thinking out, and then we'll go from there. So yeah.
So I'm happy to share that I'm now 3 weeks in to my new job, and I'm loving it. I instantly felt so much better. And to be honest, it was difficult for me to come sit down and talk about this, because I've just been completely putting this company behind me. I just needed to completely separate myself from it. And so coming back to sit down and talk about it was still kind of difficult, but I'm glad I did. I'm back and I got a haircut. Work is something we all have to do in one way or another. I'm actually somebody who enjoys working. I enjoy feeling like I contribute to a business operation. I enjoy working hard. It makes me feel very accomplished. What I want you guys to get out of this video is there's a difference between a healthy level of stress in work and just a stressful, high-stake job, and a toxic, abusive work environment. I struggled to find that line, and once I did, I realized that I was putting up with way too much for way too long, and it was destroying me. If your work constantly drains you, diminishes your sense of safety, and affects you negatively outside of work, it's time to maybe consider a different job. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment if maybe you've gone through something similar, or if you have any advice for somebody in a situation like this. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. I work really hard on these videos, and I appreciate everybody who tunes in. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.